believe that in a nation of the 21st century? Simply watching a foreign movie could cost you your life? Imagine a land where walls are not built from stone and steel but from fear itself. Where borders do not just divide soil and water but cut through hope and despair. This is North Korea, the most secretive country on Earth. A giant prison, where 25 million people are held captive inside their own homeland. Here, the ruling family lives like medieval kings with yachts, luxury cars, and lavish feasts of imported wine, while ordinary citizens survive by eating grass, tree bark, or insects. This jarring contrast is not just shocking, it paints one of the darkest tragedies of modern humanity. What makes it even more astonishing is the existence of a dynasty. 3 generations strong, where one family is worshipped like gods, and the rest of the nation is stripped of every basic human right. North Korea is not just a country, it is a parallel reality. At once a grotesque theater and a cruel experiment in absolute control. So what truths lie hidden behind its silent walls? In today's episode, Fascinating Discoveries takes you on a journey deep into the shadows. To uncover 10 shocking realities of life in North Korea today, stories you've never heard, images that will haunt you, and realities that will force you to reflect on the true value of freedom. And now, let us begin with the very first reality, a nation that exists as a colossal prison. Number 10. Prison country. North Korea is not just a country, it is a colossal prison where invisible walls are built from fear and control. Spanning about 120,000 square kilometers, it is home to more than 25 million people. Yet every one of them is locked inside its heavily guarded borders. The Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, stretches for 250 kilometers and stands as one of the deadliest borders on Earth. Lined with landmines, soldiers, and rifles pointed not outward, but inward at their own people. One woman who managed to escape once recalled, "I had never seen the outside world until I swam across the freezing river into China. I thought, if I die here, at least I die on the path to freedom." Her words echo the silent desperation of millions trapped in a land where leaving your birthplace is considered a crime. On a broader level, this transforms North Korea into what many call a humanitarian time bomb in the heart of Asia, a land where human rights have been erased. Where freedom of movement, freedom of speech, and even the freedom to dream exist only as illusions. To the outside world, North Korea is like a parallel reality, cut off from humanity's progress. A place where escape is not just dangerous, it is nearly impossible, and every attempt is overshadowed by tragedy. What makes it even more chilling is the silence, a nation trapped not behind concrete walls, but behind an invisible system of fear. And so, a haunting question emerges: is there any other place on Earth where an entire people are imprisoned within their own homeland? The answer leads us to the next shocking truth, a war that ended 70 years ago but still casts its long, terrifying shadow across North Korea today. Number 9. Warzone to nightmare state. Few people realize that North Korea was once simply part of a united Korean peninsula. A land bound by common culture, language, and history for thousands of years. So what turned the northern half into a nightmare that has endured for more than 7 decades? After World War II, the peninsula was divided along the 38th parallel. The north fell under Soviet influence, while the south came under American protection. In 1950, the Korean War erupted, turning the land into an inferno. More than 3 million lives were lost, millions of families torn apart. And when the smoke cleared in 1953, what was signed was not peace, but merely an armistice. A villager in Kaesong once said with bitter resignation, "We have never stopped fighting the war, only the gunfire has gone silent." In truth, on this soil, war merely changed its mask, while fear remained embedded in every household. On a deeper level, this war became the foundation of North Korea's permanent paranoia. The Kim regime has weaponized memories of conflict, convincing its people that enemies surround them on all sides, that they are forever under siege. And so, a society built on fear has been perpetuated generation after generation. On the global stage, the Korean Peninsula stands as one of the most dangerous flashpoints in modern history, a place where a single spark could ignite a new world war. Today, the DMZ is more than a border, it is a scar carved into the earth. A reminder etched in barbed wire and concrete that history has never truly ended. And from the ashes of that unfinished war, a dynastic dictatorship rose, cementing its power and dragging its people into one of the darkest chapters of the modern era. Number 8. The Kim Dynasty Empire. In the 21st century, is there still a place where a single family rules like emperors of the past? The answer is yes, North Korea. From Kim Il-sung to Kim Jong-il and now Kim Jong-un. 3 generations of one dynasty have transformed an entire nation into their private kingdom, where power is inherited not through the will of the people, but through bloodline. When Kim Il-sung died in 1994, the world witnessed scenes that bordered on the surreal. Hundreds of thousands of citizens poured into the streets, wailing, collapsing, and mourning as if the heavens themselves had fallen. Yet behind many of those tears was not genuine grief, but fear, because anyone who did not display enough devotion risked punishment or imprisonment. Archival footage still shows a nation forced into collective sorrow, a performance scripted by fear. On a deeper level, North Korea stands as the only modern state that sustains a form of secular theocracy. A family not only rules politically but is worshipped as divine. From early childhood, citizens are indoctrinated to memorize praises for their leader, while colossal statues of the Kim family tower over cities and villages alike, serving as daily reminders of absolute authority. This creates a society where individuality dissolves, replaced by enforced loyalty and devotion to a political cult. The result is not just dictatorship but deification, an empire of obedience forged in stone, propaganda, and fear. And in this coerced worship lies a haunting question: how long can one family's grip on power continue to imprison an entire nation? The answer leads us to the next shocking reality, an examination of the extravagant, almost grotesque lifestyle of a leader who reveled in luxury while his people struggled to survive. Number 7. The extravagant life of Kim Jong-il. While millions of North Koreans struggled to survive by eating grass, roots, or even tree bark, their leader, Kim Jong-il, lived a life of decadence, throwing parties on private islands like a medieval monarch lost in time. From 1994 to 2011, he constructed for himself a fantasy world where personal indulgence mattered more than the suffering of an entire nation. Kim Jong-il owned over 20,000 DVDs. So obsessed with cinema that he ordered the abduction of South Korean director Shin Sang-ok and his wife, actress Choi Eun-hee, in 1978. For 8 long years, they were forced to produce films for him, including Pulgasari, a bizarre imitation of Godzilla made solely to please his whims. Beyond his cinematic obsession, Kim Jong-il maintained a so-called pleasure squad of about 2,000 young women, many recruited as teenagers, compelled to entertain and serve the ruling elite in ways too disturbing to fully describe. While ordinary citizens starved, Kim Jong-il traveled in a luxurious armored train, feasting on French wine, champagne, and imported delicacies flown in from across the globe. On a deeper level, this exposes the dual reality of North Korea. On one side, a slave state where millions are condemned to misery; on the other, a hall of delusion, where one man turned a nation into the stage for his grotesque fantasies. The stark contrast is not just shocking, it is a mirror reflecting one of the greatest tragedies of modern times, where an entire people were sacrificed for the pleasures of a single ruler. And from this grotesque reality emerges the next chapter, the rise of his son, Kim Jong-un, who not only inherited his father's throne but amplified this extravagance and cruelty to new extremes. Number 6. Kim Jong-un's modern extravagance. The son took the throne. And instead of changing the destiny of his country, Kim Jong-un turned North Korea into an even darker version of itself. If Kim Jong-il once lived in delusional luxury, Kim Jong-un elevated extravagance to new extremes: modern, flamboyant, and ruthless. According to United Nations reports, he spends hundreds of millions of dollars every year on supercars, yachts, and private jets. His collection includes armored Mercedes, Maybach limousines, and rare Ferraris, while the vast majority of his people have never even seen a car up close. Like his father, Kim Jong-un also maintains a pleasure squad, recruiting young women from across the nation, torn from their families to serve the ruling elite. And while his banquets overflow with cognac, Bordeaux wines, and his wrists gleam with expensive Swiss watches, outside the palace walls, millions of North Koreans survive on tree bark, insects, and wild grass. On a deeper level, this is the embodiment of a society split into two worlds. On one side, a feudal court in the 21st century living in limitless luxury; on the other, an entire nation trapped in the Middle Ages, deprived even of the right to eat their fill. This contrast is not only shocking but forces the world to ask, how can a country exist in such a grotesque duality? And from this extreme opposition emerges an even greater tragedy: millions abandoned in darkness while their leader indulges as if tomorrow will never come. When freedom becomes a luxury, let us pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Amid shocking facts and chilling images, perhaps we must listen to the rhythm of our own heartbeat to recognize a truth so simple, yet often forgotten: freedom. Just a few kilometers apart, Seoul glows under neon lights painting the night sky like a symphony of colors. High-speed internet connects its people to the world, and K-pop rhythms pulse across continents, uniting millions of hearts. Yet only a short distance north, in Pyongyang, darkness shrouds silent streets. People live in shadows without internet, without choices, without even the concept of freedom. And so a question emerges: have we taken for granted what is perhaps humanity's most precious gift? In North Korea, we do not just witness a bizarre society, we confront a mirror reflecting humanity's deepest fears: the fear of control, the fear of losing our voice, the fear of being forgotten. In a fleeting vision, one can imagine ancient ruins resting quietly under a starlit sky, or a fire ritual burning in a faraway desert, timeless reminders that humanity has always searched for meaning, for dignity, for freedom. And as the narration slows, like a deep inhale, it reminds us that freedom, fragile, intangible, remains the most valuable treasure we can ever protect. From here, the story turns to the next shocking reality: the grim and heartbreaking life of ordinary North Koreans. A truth that chills the soul. Number 5. The harsh life of ordinary people. While the high-rise buildings of Pyongyang are often filmed to project a false image of modernity, the reality for most North Koreans is starkly different. Families live in cramped apartments, their walls icy in the winter and dim year-round due to chronic power shortages. A daily meal often consists of a thin bowl of rice with a few vegetables, while meat is a luxury that many taste only a handful of times a year. Survivors recount eating weeds, tree bark, and even insects to fend off hunger. Children grow up stunted, visibly shorter and frailer than their peers in South Korea, a living testament to decades of malnutrition. On a deeper level, the life of ordinary North Koreans reflects a society shackled not only by poverty but by control. They cannot travel freely within their own country. A special permit is required just to move from one city to another. The internet is virtually non-existent, and the outside world exists only through state-filtered propaganda. Listening to a K-pop song or watching a foreign film can mean imprisonment or worse. Death. In a nation where even dreams are policed, the people are not only starving for food but starving for truth. And yet, within this darkness, they must continue. Each day a battle for survival. From this grim reality, we move to an even more terrifying truth. A country where fear itself has been institutionalized into a weapon of control. The secret police state and the vast network of political prison camps. Number 4. The secret police state and prison camps. Imagine a society where you never dare to whisper, because even the walls might have ears. In North Korea, that fear is not a metaphor, it is a daily reality. The regime maintains a vast surveillance network where every neighborhood, every village has informants, and any stray word can become a death sentence. Children are taught to eavesdrop on their parents. Friends betray one another to survive. And when someone is accused, it is not just the individual who suffers but entire families, sometimes 3 generations, who are condemned to political prison camps. Places that resemble living hell. Survivors describe eating rats and insects to stay alive, enduring brutal beatings and torture, and witnessing public executions for crimes as small as stealing a handful of corn. On a deeper level, this is not merely political repression, it is a system designed to sustain power through collective terror. North Korea turns families into instruments of control, silence into a religion, and prison camps into monuments of absolute authority. To the outside world, these camps are scars carved into humanity itself. Reminders that even in the 21st century, concentration camps still exist to haunt our conscience. And from this chilling darkness, the story moves toward yet another shocking reality, an economy that is little more than fiction, where official systems collapse, and survival depends on the black market. Number 3. The fake economy and black markets. There is a strange paradox in North Korea, a country that exists on paper with glorious economic figures, yet hollow, like a stage made of cardboard. Most factories barely function. In many, workers show up simply to pretend to work, because absence could mean imprisonment. The North Korean won is practically worthless, distrusted by its own people, who instead trade in Chinese yuan, US dollars, or simple goods. Meanwhile, the government distributes ration cards, but the portions are so meager that survival on them alone would mean certain starvation. And so, an underground lifeline emerges, the black market. In these hidden spaces, vegetables are secretly grown. Smuggled goods from China are traded. Clothing, batteries, even USB sticks filled with South Korean dramas or pop songs. All sold like precious treasures. On a deeper level, North Korea's economy exists in a bizarre fragmentation. Outwardly, the state parades its self-reliant socialist system, but in reality, it quietly allows black markets to flourish, knowing they are the only reason millions of citizens do not starve. It is a painful paradox, a regime that condemns markets, yet survives because of them. To the outside world, North Korea is not merely a dictatorship, but a living example of an economy so deceptive that its very currency is meaningless. And from the shadows of these clandestine stalls, the story moves toward another shocking reality, the nuclear obsession, a weapon the regime wields as its ultimate bargaining chip with the world. Number 2. The nuclear obsession and weapons of mass destruction. Imagine a nation where millions of people go hungry, yet the government spends billions of dollars building bombs powerful enough to wipe humanity off the map. This is the chilling paradox of North Korea. Deep within hidden tunnels carved into mountains, in the cold silence underground, thousands of engineers, soldiers, and prisoners are forced to work on weapons designed not to feed their people, but to terrify the world. From nuclear tests that shake the earth to military parades showcasing intercontinental missiles, the Kim regime doesn't just flaunt power, it sends a bone-chilling message: we can threaten anyone. It plays out like a tragic epic, where a dynasty clings to its throne by wielding the obsession of destruction. Eyewitnesses recount how after each nuclear test, the surrounding land turned barren, water became poisoned, and children were born with terrifying deformities. Yet all of these truths are buried beneath layers of propaganda and spectacle. On a deeper level, nuclear weapons are North Korea's lifeline. With them, the regime transforms itself from a starving state into a force the world is forced to acknowledge. These bombs are aimed not only at enemies abroad but also serve as invisible chains binding its own people. The cinematic imagery is haunting. Massive missiles rolling across Kim Il-sung Square. Thousands of soldiers marching in lockstep like iron machines. Contrasted against desolate fields near nuclear sites, scenes that jar the senses with their stark duality. And then comes the lingering question. Echoing like a ghost, is the world sacrificing the future of millions just to tolerate the existence of such deadly weapons? In its nuclear obsession, North Korea reveals a bitter truth: when power is valued above humanity, the ultimate cost is nothing less than the soul of an entire nation. Number 1. Escaping the nightmare. In North Korea, even dreaming of freedom can mean death. Those who attempt to escape often face the frozen Tumen River or the treacherous Yalu River, where soldiers stand ready to shoot anyone who dares to cross. Every step in this desperate flight is a gamble with death. For if caught, not only the defector but entire families, spanning multiple generations, can be executed or sent to brutal prison camps. One survivor recalled, "I swam in water so cold it felt like my skin was being torn apart, my heart pounding wildly. But the most terrifying thought wasn't dying, it was imagining my parents being arrested because of my choice." On a deeper level, these escapes are not just physical journeys, but rebellions against a destiny imposed at birth. Yet even for those who reach China, danger lingers. Many North Korean women fall victim to human trafficking, sold as brides or forced into prostitution. Only a handful manage to reach South Korea or other free nations, where they face cultural shock and the crushing guilt of having left loved ones behind. The cinematic imagery is haunting. Shadows of desperate figures wading through icy rivers under the cover of night. The echo of barking dogs and gunshots in the distance, intercut with hollow faces streaked with tears as they remember families left behind. And as the screen fades to black, a single question lingers in the silence: what is the true price of freedom? When it demands blood, tears, and the unbearable weight of leaving your loved ones behind. We have just journeyed through 10 shocking realities of North Korea, a nation where absolute power has imprisoned an entire people within their own homeland. From the brutal political prison camps, to the grotesque luxury of the ruling elite amidst famine, to the nuclear obsession that threatens the entire planet, all of it paints a portrait of darkness, both mysterious and tragic. Yet even in that darkness lies an undeniable truth: the North Korean people still love their families, still long for freedom, still dream of a better life for their children. They are no different from us, except that they are chained within an invisible cage. And so, the haunting question remains: how long will the world stay silent? Do we have the courage to listen, to remember, and to share their stories? The final image lingers, a flickering light in the vast darkness, a fragile hope that refuses to be extinguished. And if you believe these stories deserve to be brought into the light, then like, comment, and subscribe to join fascinating discoveries on our future journeys, where each revelation is not just meant to astonish, but to remind us to cherish freedom and human dignity.